Okay.
Yeah, now. Hello. Yeah, welcome, Professor Navid Kapoor. Wonderful you're having some time for Therapist Connect. My name is Sekia. I'm an intercultural therapist. I'm working private practitioner in North London. And this interview here is part of Therapist Connect 1 year anniversary event, and it will be broadcasted somewhere in January. It's wonderful you're having time for us. And just a little bit about you. You're quite well known. You have a foundation. It's called, yes, I have looked up to a little bit. I have done some homework, and it's called the Peaceful Mind Foundation. It's very international. I think you started up 2016.
Yes.
Yeah. And you are a psychologist,
Yes.
and you actually on the international level really very passionate, almost an advocate for mental health and for people. Yeah.
Yes.
And that is actually my first question I would like to do. What brought you into that mental health profession? Tell us a little bit about that.
What brought me into mental health profession? Actually, I was a psychology student in my high school. So from there, I think the passion actually began. I wanted to do political science, but
Mm,
psychology that time was a new subject when I was in high school. I was like the second batch who was studying psychology. So that what brought me into mental health. And once I studied my high school, I went into college years. Broadened my horizons into mental health psychology. Even that where when I was studying psychology in my honors, I wanted to do like counseling or clinical, which was very known field even today.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
by the end of my college years, I was like, no, there is something more to it. So I
Mm,
went
mm,
to the masters, then higher education, and so this is my journey for mental health. I mean, it has changed over time from being a psychologist to a full-time mental health advocate.
yeah.
But and also I have polished myself over these years. I mean, since if I see 2019 and 2020, I have really grown myself as a person with
Yeah.
the national level, and the way I'm seeing my organization. I think I am satisfied. I am happy.
Yeah,
So
it's wonderful the job you're doing. You're really approaching all countries in Africa, beyond India as well. And Therapist Connect is it's starting to get a bit more international as well. And we have a few interviewed few more therapists around the world, but mainly we are known in UK.
yes,
And I saw how you reached out. Thank you. I mean, it's wonderful, really.
thank you, thank you.
And to my next question is, um, please apologize. This is a pretty new to interview. Uh, that is something I haven't tried before. So be patient with me.
No problem, no
Uh,
problem.
Thank you very much. Yeah, the next question is tell us a little bit more about your foundation or your Peaceful Mind Foundation.
So, Peaceful Mind Foundation, though the idea initiated was in 2015, and it was a
Mhm.
very sudden idea. I mean, there was no something that I want to make an organization because I was a complete amateur, no help, no support, nobody to guide actually. So, this idea, this name came out very sudden. I was
Mhm.
doing my own work, like freelancing, seeing couple of people, teaching here and there, training people. So when this idea of organization started, one of my friends suggested, who is now in Australia, to get it registered as a foundation. But
Mhm.
that time also there was a lot of tussle. You know how foundations are. They take money, they take donations, they take charities, and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
misconception or the conception is they utilize money somewhere else, but
right.
rather than the aim is what they have to do.
Yeah.
So I registered it as a foundation in 2015, but my actual work started in 2016. Um, uh, we I used to see a lot of clients, like for counseling and for
Mm.
therapies.
Hmm.
I am a trained therapist.
Yeah.
So I don't know, suddenly, you start keep on growing, you start learning new things, you start seeing people how they're working for mental health. And that was the time in 2018 when my foundation twisted to become a complete mental health advocate body. Yes, getting a lot of international recognition, reaching out to people, sleepless nights for me, because I was like a one-man army. The kind of people you see on the website today on Peaceful Mind Foundation, it was not there in 2018. So you can see in these 2 years, we managed to grow a lot. I managed to add on a lot of new projects like Stress Buster, Open Mic, Global Mental Health Youth Forum, then Global Academy of Psychological Sciences. Recently, we started with World Leaders for Mental Health. Dr. Peter is very much aware of it. It is like a body in which which I, with the help of the policy makers on the board, with former heads of states, etc., we are forming a new mental health policy for, at the global level. So, keep on adding new things which ultimately promote mental health and advocacy. So that is the idea of the entire organization. Yes, I see very small amount of clients these days for counseling or therapy, but generally I have people for them now separately. So that is how the
you are really on the international level active as well as seeing clients. I assume in India on one-to-one level, yeah?
Yes, India at one-to-one level. At international level, we have that online kind of thing, but that is also on Skype because we need to see the person while dealing with the person. So,
I mean, it has grown within 2-3 years so much, and it just reflects your passion about mental health.
We have given representation in more than 42 countries.
Yeah.
And we have board directors from approximately 23 countries, board advisors from all over the places. I'm trying to reach out to the small island states like Curacao, Turks and Caicos Island, and the Caribbeans. Yes.
Why specifically these countries?
Not specifically these countries, ma'am. I'm trying to get everybody on board for mental health.
Yeah. I can really see that is reflecting your passion and your love for mental health.
Yes, ma'am.
Has it? Yeah, absolutely. You're doing a wonderful job. I have seen TED Talks from you as well. And yeah, wonderful thing, really.
Thank you.
So I think you partially have talked about it as well. So what was the driving force to drive it to move from a one-to-one therapist to the international level?
Actually, there is a bit of a personal story also behind it. My grandfather struggled from mental health issue. Though I was studying that time psychology honors in my high school, in my college. So, but that time also I was not very much into advocacy because I was like that I have to get into counseling or either the clinical or into therapy.
Yeah.
But in 2007, when he passed away because of the struggling of mental health issue, he took some wrong steps in his life, and ultimately which ended his life. That thing actually was stuck into my head from that time only. That in 2018, I started to develop a complete advocacy to mental health. Telling people to just express your emotions is also a very tough job these days.
Yes.
I prepared a video at a global level in which I said that mental health could be the next pandemic if we are not intervening at the right level, because we as people are hesitant to share and express and talk just because of the fear of being judged or just because of fear of being considered as wrong. So that ultimately sticks inside you. So that the expression of emotion is not there, which ultimately leads to your mental health problems.
Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing something very personal with us here. Yeah. It's That's always some.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. It is always something very personal which drives us somehow to our profession. I assume, especially into the caring profession.
Yes, ma'am. So, when you start relating things to yourself and something which has happened in your life, I think you start taking it more personally and you start developing more passion and you start delivering out in a more better way.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I can see that. You're very passionate about that. Yeah. So, as I said, I have seen some TED Talks with you, and you're very active on the international levels. And one thing I remember very well when I saw one of your talks, you were saying that people don't know what mental health is, in your opinion. I think in UK here, more or less, the term mental health is very well known. How it is put in action, that's a different level. So I was a little bit surprised that,
Yeah.
your experience in India and on an international level is so different. Tell
So
me about that.
when I mentioned about this, that mental health is not very well known or very well perceived. What happens generally with mental health is people know it exists, but they do not perceive it as important. You know,
Mm,
if I have fever, if one of my if I have a limb pain or something like that, I will perceive it and I will take a medication for it. But when I have a mental health issue, I do not perceive it as important because of, again, being fear of being judged. I do not know where to go, whether to go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist to take medication. I do not know whether to go for a counseling or a therapy. I do not know how to express myself. I do not even know how to even talk to myself.
mm,
you know so that is the reason why mental health issues are even rising today. Why does suicide happens out of a sudden? Because people are piling up their emotions inside and they do not have anybody to talk to. you know so what, I started off this body as a stress buster open mic karaoke. It's like a normal
mm.
singing karaoke you must have heard in pubs and clubs. So
Yes.
what I have started, have started this anonymous body under Peaceful Mind Foundation, wherein people can just share their stress without even revealing their names, and we as professionals or somebody else who's listening to that person might share some suggestions or advice to that person. It's like a group therapy, and it is going out quite well. Today, one of the sessions is happening in Ghana. One of our representatives is doing in Ghana.
Yeah.
You know, uh, every small bit and pieces of what we do is like telling people that it is important to perceive mental health as important. United Nations, WHO, the Red Cross Society, everybody talks about mental health. No doubt they're doing a very good job. But the only problem, the concern is that the people who need these kind of services and the people who are executing these kind of services are not well trained to deliver these kind of services.
Mm, mm.
Policies are there, but execution is not right. So there has to be a strategic way of telling people how to express emotions, how to
Yeah.
talk to people. You know, uh, why do we say that you need to have a best friend so that you at least you can have a shoulder to cry on? Because
Yes.
anything and everything you cannot talk to your parents as well at home.
Absolutely. And not
So
anything also is a close friend. You can really not, there are some things we don't want to even share with our best friends. Yeah.
true.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And for
That's
that, I
true.
have another suggestion. For
Yes.
that, I have told people just go and stand in front of the mirror and talk to yourself.
Mm.
Talk to yourself for 1 minute. Everything will be sorted. If you can't talk, write something in on a piece of paper or a diary.
Yeah.
I do that myself, and it
Yeah.
works.
Absolute keeping journal, talking to ourselves. It's not weird, is it? It's really more hearing our thoughts loud out. Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
it
And I think it's
works.
a wonderful idea of yours to bring it, even bringing uh, experience like negative experience, mental health, bring it on the platform and making it almost like a stand up. Yeah, I think humor opens up as well.
Yes, yes, yes. All
Yeah,
the way.
yeah, wonderful. Yeah. Um, yeah, as a from therapist to therapist, I'm also very interested in, do you have a favorite therapeutic approach? Or
Um, I majorly focus on humanistic, if you want to ask that specifically, because humanism deals with the person in totality in a holistic way. So
mm,
I see that I am more of a humanistic person. But I honestly haven't classified myself as any one school of thought. Now, since you have told me, I have to actually think. Yes, humanistic is one. CBT generally I use for higher severe people. But yeah, you can say that I am more of a humanistic person. I focus on the fully functioning capacity of a human being.
Yeah, yeah. I think with the humanistic is also it's very individual approach. It's very
Oh,
person centered as well. Yeah.
even the best, even when we talk about the person, the client centered therapy, which is given by Rogers, the
Yeah.
best part of Roger I always liked is one, it is person centered. You have to talk about the person, and they do not use the word patient, they use client.
Yes. Yeah.
So I never use the word patient
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Always the
Yeah,
client.
it's in UK we have moved away from that as well, especially in the humanistic and person-centered approach.
When I was graduating, my one of my very senior professors told me, I don't know whether she believes in it or not. I don't know, but she said one line that when you call a person who's suffering or dealing with mental health issue, you call them patient. Ultimately, the person will start falling ill, and he will start feeling more. Ill, or some more troubles. When you tell the person that you are a client, you come at one level with that person. It's like one to one at the same platform. Patient is
Yes.
just like you giving medications because you're ill. So that was also one of the very good logics I imbibed in my career. I had never called
Mm,
patient. It's
mm,
always a
mm, mm. So I assume also the word patient implies almost there is someone like the therapist who is the one who is the healing, which is not often like that in a therapeutic relationship. It's a two-sided relationship, is it?
yes, yes, always a two-sided relation. I learn from my clients. I always, obviously, I cannot show them the transference and the counter-transference theories, which is very detailed. But yes, you sometimes learn from them as well. So it's a bi-directional relationship, always.
Yeah. Mm. And one more question is this is a more Western approach. Carl Rogers, Sigmund Freud, uh, but it does work from around the world as well. Can you maybe from your personal experience and your professional maybe experience why a Western therapeutic approaches works on the international level for different cultures as well?
I think because they are more generalized. I think we all. I mean, I have not read many of Indian psychologists, to be honest. Maybe one is Durganand Sinha. He was the one who gave the the nurture and nurturance kind of a concept. I think, but yeah, the Sigmund Freud, Abraham Maslow, Carl Rogers. I mean, these they're even Eric Erikson. I really believe in Eric Erikson theories, the 8 stages, and I could really relate. And when I teach to my students at graduate or postgraduate level, I mean, the best theory I can teach is Eric Erikson. You
The,
could
the, the
relate
nine development stages, or is this
eight
eight?
developmental stages and amazingly illustrated. Trust versus mistrust, shame versus guilt. I
Mhm.
mean, related to yourself, and it's very applicable to cross-cultural people. But yes, as a psychologist, it's my advice to other mental health professionals: be tolerant of other cultures, because that's very important. Cross-cultural psychology is very coming up and very important, because we need to understand the perception of the other person, from which background the person is coming. So since it's a very casual, I'll just tell you one thing. When I set a question paper for my students
Yeah.
at a very initial level, that's the first question I put: why is multicultural perspective important for a psychotherapist? The reason being, because we have to understand the culture from which the person is coming. It might be right for him and not for you. So you have to be cultural tolerant.
Yeah.
And few psychologists I've came across, they are not cultural tolerant. Honestly, I don't want to name
Mm.
them, but that's not the right approach to mental health.
Mm. Yeah, fully agree with you. We need to see the whole person and the environment and background the person is coming from.
Yes.
Otherwise, we have a very narrow view
Yes.
on of
You cannot
approach.
heal the person otherwise.
Yeah, yeah, fully understand. Yeah. Mm. So also I quote you here, you said mental health is the mountain in you. Yeah.
Where did you get this from? Because it was long back, I said.
Yeah. You remember?
I do, obviously,
Yeah.
yes.
Can you tell me a little bit more about what you mean with that?
See, your physical health is comprising about obviously your hands, your head, leg, your heart, everything. But your mental health is something which affects your physical health as well. So it's like a mountain in you, which means that you cannot see it, but that does not mean that it does not exist. So today, if I'm stressed and my stress increases to a level where I cannot manage it, it will start affecting my physical health. I might be sweating quite often. I might have paralysis. I might have a blood clot. You know, so mental health is the mountain in you, showcasing that it is an important part. It cannot be seen, but does not mean it does not exist.
Mm.
So that is, I think, in one of the lectures when I was speaking about that mental health is a global pandemic which could be there. So this is why I said that it's a big mountain which we have to move. We have to start intervening at this level. And I'm very thankful to this coronavirus which has existed, because it has actually exposed that mental health is quite important, because it has actually opened the eyes of the world towards the mental well-being part in a more positive way. Though much has to be done, but I think the world is exposed to these issues now, and they are acknowledging it, that it's a part of your daily life.
Yeah. Well, I think some people might see it a little bit different. They're being less thankful to Corona, but I really understand your point of view, and a crisis bringing up other crises
Yes.
a little bit more on the surface. I fully understand that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And with the mountain is very visible, is it? I can see the mountain everywhere. And so I just try to understand, is this something like you saying, like a mountain growing in you and then
Yes.
moving into being visible in your body?
Yes. So the mind mountain is basically, I think when I mentioned it, it was like for your emotions. So you keep on piling emotions, emotions, emotion. It ultimately becomes a mountain, and it ultimately comes out and bursts out like a lava. So it's like a mountain which is there, but which cannot be seen.
Yeah, absolutely. And for example, anxiety hits often the stomach, has stomach
Yeah.
pain. Yeah, and anxiety as well is a lot of distracting ourselves from the moment, and we don't see almost what we are in with it sometimes
Yes.
when we yeah.
But it
Yeah, I really, it's a very good metaphor. I really understand that very well. Yeah, very nicely. Um, so I'm very passionate about self-care. And we say that easily self-care, but self-care, I think it's important, a routine of taking care of yourself. So do you have something there? Would you like to share with us?
Ma'am, self-care, yes, obviously, when we are into mental health profession, so self-care has to be there. So self-care is both for the client and for us as therapists. So a very simple thing, I think, as I told you before also, that I utilize for my self-care is writing a journal, talking to myself, humor. And when we talk to the clients, I think I am the one person who uh, tells them to do all these things which I apply in my life. I will never tell them to do something which I have never done, something which is very bookish. You know, I always tell there was a client which came to me and said that some previous client of therapist of hers said that if you drink green tea, you will never have mental health issues. I mean, what this nonsense concept is. So, so you know, so they do not understand what entirely self-care means. Self-care is not about just taking a bath or eating proper food and going to your 10 to 6 job. No, self-care is taking care of yourself physically and mentally and emotionally and socially. So everything is important. Your work is also important. Your friends are also important. Your pampering yourself is also important. Being a therapist, how I take care of myself is one, journal and talking to myself. I make a point that once a week I go to the salon and sit for like 2-3 hours, get my spa done, my feet done, my manicure done. It's like pampering myself. It's my self care, and I feel good and I feel happy about it.
Yeah.
Also, talking to my friends on a daily basis, meeting them once a week, bringing out new people on board. It's the kind of self care which I follow. My routine is not 10 to 6 or 10 to 7. No, though I work 24 hours, my brain is working 24 hours. But in between that, I have my own routine, which actually prevents from that burnout. If which many people must have got because they're working like robots. Every day for 1 hour, I go for my jazz classes. I dance for 1 hour. That's the kind of self care I follow. So every person has a definition of self care. But the question is, the self-care should not be something which is conditioned by society, like eating and just wearing good clothes and all. No, it has to be mentally. That mentally you are relaxed, you are calm. And ultimately your productivity, it shows in your productivity when you are calm and relaxed, honestly. So that does not work.
Self-care is not only, I hear also, it's not only leisure, is it? Self-care sometimes doesn't come easy as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That's what I'm saying now, ma'am. If something small like expressing your emotions have to be taught, so self-care is a very different ball game completely. So yes, it is. It does not come very easily to people. No.
Really, I can imagine for people standing in front of the mirror talking to themselves, they would have difficulties to see it as self-care.
Yes. They asked me that what should we talk. I said just say hello and speak your name. That's all. I said when you start doing this, you will ultimately get into a conversation, and it works for them. It actually worked for them.
Okay. Fascinating. So they come back to you and they say, with welcoming ourselves,
another thing I should tell you here. Please. How I know that they are fine. I don't know about other therapists. Neither I want to comment. I always tell them that these are my empowerment strategies for you. Utilize it for 1 week. If you feel good and empowered, do not come back and either tell me. If you're not feeling fine, then come back. And 95% of the times they don't come back.
It's a real success.
It's a success.
Yeah. It's like a short-term therapy, actually.
But works. I have never seen relapses in my this 4 years, 5 years journey. 1 or 2, yes, because there were severe anxiety and depression cases, but otherwise, no relapses.
They're very good, very good. I can see how passionate you are here in the room here. Yeah. Actually, I am at the end of my questions, Professor Naveed. Is there something else you would like to share with us?
Just that whosoever listens to this, make sure you take care of yourself. Mental health is very important. Try to educate people about psychological first aid. Intervene at the initial level if you see that there is anything going wrong with the person around you or even within yourself. Express yourself as much as you can and take out time for yourself, because that's going to help you a lot. The world is changing, everything is changing, and we as people should adapt and start coming out of our comfort zones.
Yeah, wonderful words.
Let's make psychology a household term. That's something which I have invented.
Absolutely, that's an amazing ambition. But I can see you really are on a fantastic journey here. I thank you so much for your time. And I know you're calling here. We're from India, and I'm here in North London, and the time zone is very different. For me, the day has started. And for you, you might go after the interview for a break or for a little rest.
Yes.
Or, yeah. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah. Bye.